Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a very special episode of the Wrestle Plug where we discuss the WWE Draft 2023 Part 1. I am your host, Aaron X, and joining me, I am delighted to announce, is the return of the Maple Leaf Magician, the Duke of Diabetes, and a man who most likely will be working with me very closely for the next 4 weeks because he's sadly injured. Yes, indeed. He's joined the great ranks of wrestling individuals that have picked up a rotator cuff injury. He is, of course, Canada's finest, Carl Wilkinson.
I almost wish it was a wrestling injury.
Oh, yeah. I mean, trust me, there's no honor in wearing spandex and getting injured either, buddy. So WWE Draft is that time of year again. Feels like a while since we had a draft. You're quite smart with this stuff. Remember when we last had one?
A real draft? I mean, the original brand split, 2016. Well, the original, I guess. The latest might have been 2016. I think no, we've definitely had some between then. But then remember, I think the last draft they had like one or two people can come over once a week.
I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was that kind of, it was almost like a pass, like
20.
a hall pass for
Yeah.
wrestlers.
I think that was actually 2019 because I think that's when both Seth and Kofi won their matches at Mania. And then And I think they just showed up and Vince is like, yeah, the visitor rule or whatever the bullshit he called it was.
Yeah, moving the goalpost. So this is officially a new draft split. People are going to allegedly stay on their brands. We'll see how long that lasts for.
Eh,
And of course, they have unveiled a new World Heavyweight Championship. And of course, we now know who the World Championship, well, at least the brand that the World Championship will belong to. It will be Raw because the very first pick in round one, of course, for SmackDown was the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, along with Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman, furthering, of course, the storyline of Usos, who lost their tag team rematch on SmackDown as well to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, which we're probably extremely thrilled about, I'd imagine, as a fellow Canadian. Yeah, I mean, Roman Reigns'
I
bloodline
mean,
kind of makes sense, doesn't it? He'd stay on.
obvious top pick, I think.
Yeah,
Like he's the only world champion at the moment. So for some reason, SmackDown got to go first. We don't know if they did a coin toss backstage. Like we know literally jack shit. Did Fox give more money than USA?
I think
But
that's probably down to SmackDown being first and then Raw doing their second half of the draft this Monday. And of course, next weekend is Backlash. So all the effects of this draft will happen after Backlash. So yeah, undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, and Paul Heyman all going to SmackDown. What do you think about the Usos? Where do you think they'll land? Do you think they'll stay on SmackDown to continue the storyline, or do you think they'll shift them over to Raw?
um, I
Turn of
think there's
face.
still I think there's still some story left to be told. So keep them on SmackDown, maybe like fourth round, like end of the show. Like they're just sitting there going, well, why the fuck haven't we been picked up yet? Like what's going on?
Yeah, Solo Sikoa was supposed to have his night on SmackDown, wasn't he? He was sent down the ringside and he was ambushed by the original Bro, who is obviously an honorary Canadian now because he helped Sammy and Kevin retain the tag titles. So, there's that also that interest because the idea has been like, oh, because he stood behind him, wasn't he, rapping his fun? We thought, here we go, he's
Mhm.
going to fucking turn on him or whatever. Little tease doesn't even get to ringside. And then everyone's looking shell shocked, and Roman Reigns is going to be furious and disappointed. And I almost felt like the Usos promo when they came out and were talking about how, you haven't returned our calls? No. You haven't texted us back? No. It kind of felt almost face like in a lot of ways. So,
A little,
but
yeah.
yeah, we'll talk about it more ad nauseum, I imagine, straight after Raw, because hopefully me and you will be standing up to watch Raw together this Monday night. Of course, Raw's number one pick, Cody Rhodes, which pretty much says to us Cody Rhodes to win the inaugural World Heavyweight Championship or the
Please
new
no.
one.
No, I don't want it.
No?
No. Like I've seen this around online from a bunch of different people and stuff, but if Cody wins the World Heavyweight Championship, it'll just seem like a consolation prize. It will just seem like, oh well, we didn't want you to beat Roman, but you can have this shiny new thing.
It does kind of feel like it's Intercontinental Plus, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I my pick will be. I mean, I guess it'll spoil a pick for later, but my inaugural World Heavyweight Champion, that was hard, is did get drafted to Raw on Friday, but we'll get to that when we get to him.
I have a good idea who you might be referring to. Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair drafted to SmackDown. So how are we gonna? So obviously Rhea Ripley getting drafted to Raw. That we assume this Monday night.
Don't just do like a title switch.
Oh, do you remember when the tag team champions just swapped the belts? They didn't even wrestle for them. They just went. Here you go.
Well, do you remember when Becky and Charlotte did it and there was like that legitimate beef? Like, I don't want that. I don't know how else you can do it, like off the top of my head, but I just don't like, here's your blue belt. I'll take the red one, thanks.
Well, she is defending the titles, isn't she? Well, she's defending the title at Backlash against Io Sky. But the problem with that is they also got drafted to SmackDown, um, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. So, what do we think? Do we think Bianca Belair is obviously probably going to retain?
Yeah,
Rhea Ripley's probably going to retain against Zelina Vega because it would be ridiculous to take the belt off her 1 month removed from WrestleMania,
yeah.
especially if she's the hottest thing in the product. The crowd are red hot for her as well. Doesn't matter that she's supposed to be a heel. Everyone cheers for her because she's just so fucking over. It's ridiculous. Um, so yeah. Speaking of women, obviously being drafted, Becky Lynch drafted to Raw. Don't care if
Sure.
I'm being
Uh,
honest.
yeah, I'm not particularly bothered.
The one that stood out to me is round two. So we had the Street Profits going to SmackDown. Do you think that's a good thing?
I mean, more Street Profits and Usos I'll never say no to, assuming
How
the
are they going to
Usos do
separate the
follow
tag
suit.
titles? Because obviously they're undisputed as well. So what are they going to do? They're not. Surely they're not just going to have one set of tag titles.
Now,
What are they?
I mean, they could. I don't think I would like that. So, I mean, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against the Street Profits is a hell of a lot of fun.
Interesting. I think if at any point they say we're going to defend one pair of them, then you know they're switching. So, what would be kind of cool to keep the Usos over, I suppose, if you wanted to continue the bloodline shenanigans, maybe have the Usos win, just the Raw ones. Like, it would be quite a fun storyline if they came out and said, okay, we'll put up one set of tag titles against you, and they win them, and then they're like, yeah, we're back with the bloodline. They go, whoa, 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 we didn't say which pair. We meant the Raw ones, which means they're then stranded on Raw. Quite clever.
I like
But
that.
I enjoy that, but whether that happens or not, different story. So yeah, Street Profits, I think that's a good pick up. SmackDown looking stacked, by the way. You got Bianca Belair, good for Montez Ford and Bianca Belair. Obviously, I know a lot of people will say that's why they got drafted because but hey, why not? They're married. Why shouldn't they be happy together and work
Yeah.
together? Like, say they're on the road a million fucking hours a week, so why not? But yeah, you've got them on there. You've got Roman Reigns, and you've got just everybody really. It seems very stacked right now, picking up a lot of
Yeah.
champions.
A lot of power picks.
Raw picks up the IC champion Imperium. So do we think Austin Theory's going the other way?
I think he has to.
Which makes SmackDown ludicrously over the top with main event talents, doesn't it? Really. Like,
I'm
but then we also hear, don't we? Because SmackDown gets better ratings than Raw. It's worth a lot more money because of the deal with Fox, and apparently Fox dictate who they want on their programming more, which is why Roman Reigns is always on SmackDown.
Yeah. I mean, Gunther on Raw should bring a lot of more eyes onto it because he's been having, for lack of a better word, banger after banger.
He's the guy that would make me watch Raw a lot more as well. Like instantaneously when they announced his draft, I was like, because I haven't enjoyed Raw that much. It's been okay. It hasn't been terrible. But it's been quite good recently. There's been some good storylines. But this is something that makes me want to tune in every week. If Imperium are going to be there every week, if Gunther is going to be working hard every week as the workman's champion with the ICJ, all of a sudden I'm like, awesome. Like, and all of a sudden, there's a lot of guys who haven't wrestled him who are going to be exclusive to the Raw brand. So now we've got a completely fresh round of matchups because he's been on SmackDown for the last year, beating the ass out of people like Ricochet and Sheamus and everybody else in between,
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio. Now he's got some fresh matchups. Joining him on Raw, Matt Riddle. Good choice. Keep him away from Reigns.
Yeah. I
He has a
mean,
better chance of being a main eventer, doesn't he, on Raw than he would on SmackDown with the amount of guys they've drafted.
yeah, I could definitely see Riddle being like getting as far as like a semifinal in the tournament for the World Heavyweight Championship if that's the route they go.
I could see Riddle being the next big contender to Gunter.
Oh, that would slap, I think.
I think that's the right position for him. At
Upper,
least until Randy Orton's ready to go, because we assume Randy Orton's going to come back and strike and turn on him at some point.
oh, give me Orton and Gunter for a second too. That'd be a hell of a lot of fun.
That'd be very sick. And also in the final pick of round two, Edge went to SmackDown as well.
OG SmackDown, let's go.
The old SmackDown is the must-see thing. Edge, Roman Reigns, Bianca Belair, Street Profits. We haven't even spoken about all the other guys who are down here. Round 3, Bobby Lashley goes to SmackDown as well. Like,
That's big.
which means that all of a sudden Roman Reigns has fresh contenders. Bobby Lashley, potentially Bray Wyatt if he's going to be around. We don't know whether he's going to get drafted. Like Montez Ford all of a sudden could be elevated to a main event status again if they wanted to try that out again. Edge could go after Roman Reigns again. There's the potential for new matchups as well. But Bobby Lashley versus Roman Reigns is the one where I was like, huh. And going the other way in terms of Hoss, Drew McIntyre to Raw.
I mean, I think that's good. I think Drew needs to get away from like Sheamus, and I know Gunther went there, but just they've been kind of dancing the same dance for the last like 4 months. He's getting a little stale, and I love Drew McIntyre, but
What do you think about this whole thing of apparently Drew McIntyre is not happy with creative? We don't know if it's just been made up or whatever. He deleted his WWE stuff from his profile on Twitter. Do you think Drew's done with the company? I find that hard to believe after he worked so hard to get back there and has won the WWE title a couple of times since he came back.
I don't think they would have made it such a high-profile draft pick if he was going anywhere.
Yeah, that was like one of the opening picks around 3, and obviously one of the ones that stood out. SmackDown picks up even more big names, the entire OC, which of course predominantly AJ Styles is the one that we're most excited about because it's AJ. Like the idea of him sicking the OC, and a bit interesting they just twatted the Viking Raiders around and sent them packing. I just like that. Makes them kind of look like bitches on the way out, doesn't it?
They've been bitches forever. Like no one cares about the Viking Raiders. But I'm excited to see AJ and Roman because I don't think we've seen that since like 2016 when AJ first came in. He had that sick match at Extreme Rules.
It's do you know what? Now would be a good, if you're going to separate the Usos, bring in Jacob Fatu from MLW. So maybe you have AJ Styles in the OC versus Roman Reigns in the Bloodline. The OC finally nullifying the numbers game. Looks like AJ Styles is going to get one up. Jacob Fatu debuts, wrecks AJ Styles, costs him his WWE title match. That'd be sick.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not going to happen. It's just fancy booking, but it's again, it's a potential matchup. We haven't seen the OC versus the Bloodline. We've even seen the Judgment Day teasing it, and obviously we've seen Sammy and Kevin and Riddle, but no faction has really stood up to the Bloodline yet, have there? There hasn't been a faction yet. I was really hoping Imperium might do it, but of course they're uber heels, so it wouldn't really make sense. So you need a face faction. Here you are. This is probably the number one face faction you have available to do this.
Definitely.
So that's perfect, in my opinion. And The Miz stays on Raw. I swear The Miz is always on Raw and always has been.
There was a time when I think he got like every time there was a draft, he always switched. Like he was always the guy that would just bounce back and forth. I mean, I like The Miz. He'll be entertaining regardless if he's on red or blue. Like it doesn't really matter that much.
He's the guy you can trust to go out there and do something good. He had a great match with Seth Rollins a few weeks ago on Raw. Totally went under the radar. Amazing match. Like
great match with Snoop Dogg. What do you mean?
Yeah. Yikes. Shane McMahon. Lol. Damage Control. Bailey, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. That was a surprise to me because I thought, Bianca Belair. But then there was no way she was going to drop the belt to Io Sky at Backlash. Well, the Backlash is going to be big, isn't it? Because it's in Puerto Rico. Remember the last time they were in Puerto Rico?
Off the top of my head, no.
New Year's resolution 2005, I believe. When Triple H was a heel in Elimination Chamber, it was Elimination Chamber, and Triple H came out and got the biggest fucking pop on earth because apparently in Puerto Rico he's massively over for no apparent reason. They love heels; they're proper smarky, and I mean, come on, Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest is going to set that crowd alight. I'm actually really excited about that. We'll do a preview for Backlash later in the week, so look out for that, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, Damage Control to SmackDown. Good choice, you think?
I mean, I don't want to see them just constantly chase Bianca Belair. Like if Bailey was gonna win, and they're definitely pushed, she should have. That ship has long since sailed.
I would have left them on Raw and had them go after Rhea Ripley because Rhea Ripley's clearly a face now. But the problem is Judgment Day, so they're going to have to separate them at some point, I think.
Like I'm still excited to see Bianca at Io. We haven't seen that for at least the title yet. So that'll be a nice fresh matchup.
Depends what they do. Depends how seriously they take
Yeah,
that women's division. SmackDown normally tends to have, in my opinion, a little bit. Actually, Raw has probably had more competitive women's stuff, hasn't it? Really, over the
I
last
think so.
months. So maybe they're trying to bolster SmackDown, and you can trust all three of those women to have fantastic matches. They're all excellent
Oh,
workers.
easy.
Bailey's one of probably the biggest female heel you've got, really, because Rhea Ripley's too over, and Charlotte Flair is face-ish, but nobody really cares, which is a
Yeah.
shame because I love Charlotte. Um, Going to the Raw brand, Shinsuke Nakamura.
I mean,
I
some
don't
fresh.
care personally, but
I mean, not really. Like, I don't. Did he wrestle Gunter at all for the IC title? Because I think that could be fun.
that's kind of what it feels like. It's like, okay, but he feels like he's always just going to be. He's like in that Dolph Ziggler, Bobby Roode category, good worker, decent enough human being, but nobody fucking cares at this point. Feels like he's just there to fill a gap.
Yeah. I mean, he got attacked by Karrion Cross this week, so
The last two in round four that will really stand out to people are NXT pickups. SmackDown picks up the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. I'm super excited about this because obviously I've worked shows that they've been on. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, which by the way, Isla Dawn, wow.
Michael Cole called her Isladon on air. He didn't know how to pronounce it.
Like you had one job, you fucking goober. I'm sick and tired of people like all of a sudden everyone loves him now, don't they? They're like, oh, Michael Cole's great now. And I'm like, no. Like, don't get me wrong, probably less insufferable than he used to be, but still not that great if you ask me. I think the only reason he does well is because they keep putting him with world-class color commentators.
Yeah.
He had Corey Graves, then he had Pat McAfee, now he's got Wade Barrett, who for me kills it on commentary. I think Wade Barrett's amazing as a color commentator. And obviously benefit to us. They're the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. What do you think? They strip the belts or have them drop them? Because
Uh,
they've only held them about a month or so, haven't they?
I hope they drop him. I don't like I remember when the Viking Raiders got drafted, they like defended them and then just kind of laid them in the ring. Like it was a cool respect thing, I guess. But I think the most respectful thing to do is to drop it to the next team you think can carry the brand after you leave.
I would personally. So obviously, Raw picked up NXT Women's Champion Indy Hartwell, which means unless Johnny Gargano gets drafted to SmackDown, Raw will have the entire way on it, at least for now.
Yeah, but three of
But
them are
Austin
faces, and Austin
Theory,
Theory's a dickhead.
yeah, like me personally, I'll be tempted to restore the way. I like Indy Hartwell a lot. I don't think she's going to do well on the main roster because she's a bit boring.
Well,
I
she
think
also just won the belt.
she's
Like, well,
just got the
and
belt.
just
So for
defended it.
me, it might be worth. If I was in charge of this, I'd have both of these NXT champions have the NXT titles for maybe a couple of months and defend them on the Raw and SmackDown brands just to give people a taste and see what the general reaction is to NXT belts. Because if it's received really well and people are excited about it, might be worth having the odd NXT drop in. Like,
Yeah.
sort of like it's cool because then it can be like NXT exhibition. Even though they're part of the SmackDown roster now, they can defend the NXT Tag Team Championships against, I don't know, insert women's tag team here, Caden Carter and Katana Chance, who I think squared up to them during SmackDown and said, yeah,
Yeah,
we
they
want
did.
another title shot, which probably indicates they're probably going to take them back. I don't know. Um, I, I'm really excited about Alba Fire and Isla Dawn because I feel like they got all the tools. I think between both of them, they cut a half decent promo. I really like Indy Hartwell, but I think she's really bland as a general superstar. Obviously, a wonderful human being. I thought she was very funny in the way. Really enjoyed the whole like
Oh,
intervention when they were trying to stop her dating Dexter Lumis. I thought it was very funny when they were stalking her dates and things like that. And Johnny Gargano slowly coming around to the idea of Dexter Lumis being a great son-in-law was very funny to me. I thought the way at one point was the funniest thing that NXT had, particularly with the "you're not going to therapy on me," which I thought was quite funny.
yeah. They were definitely the best part of NXT 2.0
Yeah,
because like
definitely.
because I'm pretty sure the main event of the first 2.0 was the wedding. Like
Yeah,
Ciampa won the belt, and then there was the wedding.
fucking hell. Definitely a sports entertainment brand. But yeah, that pretty much wrapped up the main ones. Anything you want to cover on that before we quickly cover the SmackDown Lowdown, which is essentially the supplemental?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of big names this past Friday, but obviously the rest will come up on Monday. I'm definitely excited to see who goes where. I want some fresh matchups. Like I know we were all super spooked about Vince coming back, and I know he hasn't been on site as much from what I've read. Like he'll remotely call in and do something. Like apparently Raw was still changing last week, like on the air, crazy shit like that from years past. But it's still a fun time to be a WWE fan, I think. There are definitely some things that are dragging on. Roman Reigns. I think that's definitely
Yeah,
dragged on a little longer than
not
should.
feeling him still as champion.
It's I still like Roman Reigns. Don't get me wrong, and like I know WWE loves setting records. You'll get to 1,000 days, but it's almost like I guess this is a compliment to Roman because I'm comparing to Jinder Mahal for a second. All of Jinder's matches when he was WWE champion were essentially the same. He gets beat up a bit, the things interfere, he hits the Colossus, and that was it. I mean that Roman's matches are getting very similar now, where like he starts losing and Solo comes in. It's like, man, like if you're the best ever, it's getting a little dry. I can stomach it for a little while longer, but
Yeah.
something will need to change.
We were building and building and building, and we thought whoever gets the rub is going to be huge. And then they didn't
Should
give
have
the
been
rub. And
Cody.
now for me, it's going the other way where the rub gets less and less. So all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, you got. I think pull the trigger at SummerSlam. Getting past 1,000 days, pull the trigger at SummerSlam.
Yeah, they just haven't built anyone up to that level. Like Cody did it essentially organically because we all loved him, and then the Rumble win, obviously. I've never heard people sing a song lyric louder than Cody Rhodes. I don't know if you saw Triple H when they drafted Cody, he's like, oh, they stopped it too early, cut it just for the woe part. No, go ahead, do it. And the crowd just does it. He just laughs. I'm like, man, Hunter, you're my bro.
In the palm of her hand, beautiful. Yeah, no, good stuff. So on the SmackDown Lowdown, the supplemental, I'll break these down quickly. So Raw picks up Eric and Ivar and Valhalla, the Viking Raiders, Dexter Loomis, Candice LeRae, Marseille, and Mansoir with Maxine Dupree, who, by the way, Lord,
Where's Otis?
that's what I'm waiting for on Raw. I think they're going to split Gable and Otis up, which is bad news in my opinion for both because we've seen what happened. I think they should keep them together and have them both join them. Also, Zoe Stark and JD McDonough from NXT. I suppose you could technically classify Apollo Crews on there, although we've seen him on the main roster before. And then three people that I could not give a shit about: Natalia, Sonya Deville, and Chelsea Green, all going to Raw. Who stands out there?
JD McDonough for sure.
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
incredible worker. I worry that his size might have him struggling a bit on the Raw brand.
I mean, he's no bigger or smaller than Finn Balor.
Yeah, like they're similar size,
Yeah.
similar look and shape. Obviously, a lot of people compared them. I actually prefer JD McDonough's wrestling style. Not to say Finn Balor hasn't been fantastic because he's really grown for me in the Judgment Day, but and I liked his last NXT run when he was champion. I thought he was awesome. But I'm excited for him. I just hope he gets a fair crack of the whip,
Definitely, yeah.
Maybe put him in against Gunther or something. That'd be quite cool. But I think he's like super heel, isn't he, at the moment? So yeah, I just don't want him ending up like a Mustafa Ali, where he just ends up being a bit of a bitch backstage with a shit gimmick because nobody gives a fuck.
Oh, I'm just happy to be here.
It's the positivity, though. It's almost like he's being punished for wanting to leave the company. It's very strange. And SmackDown, they drafted all of Hit Row and Lacey Evans. That was it in the supplemental for them.
Good job, guys. You did it.
They suck, Hit Row. They suck. Like, I don't know. Like, if I'm Fox and I'm like, if Fox is saying, look, we're going to dictate to you who we want because obviously we want the big stars on program, they cannot have seen Hit Row and thought, oh yeah, we'll have a slice of that. Because
I mean,
I gave Top Dollar my worst wrestler of the year because he is awful. I actually really like Ashante the Adonis. I think he's got some. He reminds me a little bit, but in his own kind of style, of JTG.
yeah, I can see that.
And, like, obviously people will be like, that's racist. It's like, that's not what I'm going for. I meant in terms of style, cadence, his character. Yes, they're both black. I understand that. But for me, I feel like out of the three of them, he's easily got the most talent. It's like, it's not even close.
Yeah.
I like B-Fab as a manager, terrible wrestler when we did see her trying to dabble in it. And, like, I just think that it's very cliched. She feels like a fucking GMVQ version of Jade Cargill with no like excitement, no body mass, nothing. Just like a really shit version of that. Like if you
Yeah.
wanted Jay Cargill on Wish, that's what you get. It's a shame because I don't like running people down like that. But for me, I just feel like she's for me, she's got AW Dark of the Year written all over.
I mean, I think the only wrestling I see her do was the Women's Royal Rumble this year, and yeah, it was less than stellar.
That's yeah. We'll leave
Call
it
it
there
that.
because that seems
Yep.
fine.
Yep.
They also announced
Absolutely.
three free agents: Omos, Mustafa Ali, and Dolph Ziggler.
I mean, what's the point of having brands if you have people that can bounce between them?
Or is it a case
Maybe.
of waiting for? Is that see for me? If I knew that I had talent that was super stale or not over or were injured, I'd make them all free agents, take them off TV for 5 or 6 months, go back to fucking performance center, go and have a rest, go and spend some time with your family, whatever, get yourself in shape, and let's see if we can repackage you a little bit. Otherwise, get the fuck out of this company because we can't sit here as hypocrites and say AEW's got too many talents, they need to clear out the roster, but then not kind of take WWE to task for this because they got a lot of people here where I think
Yeah.
like Mustafa Ali hurts because obviously being from a Muslim family, being Middle Eastern, I was desperate for Mustafa Ali to get that push. He didn't have to be WWE champion, but it would have been great to see him in a more prominent role, and it's just fallen flat. And I've realized that ultimately, even though I like him, he's just not that entertaining as a promo or anything. He's just a really, really good wrestler who's very
Yeah.
good looking as well. He's got great looks, stupidly handsome man, as we know. But I just think it sucks. I don't like it. Omos, the shine is off now. I know that I think he's going to face Seth Rollins, isn't he, at Backlash?
Yeah. It was the most random thing.
Just came out and was like, "Do you want to wrestle me?" Yeah, sure. Got nothing to do. Fuck it. Why not? I feel I can see why Seth Rollins. There are reports that he's ticked off that he's not really being used as well. He feels like he should be in Cody's position. I think Seth Rollins is fine. He doesn't need to be in Cody's position, but I do look at it and think, really, Omos? And also, Omos has lost to Bobby Lashley. He's lost to Brock Lesnar. So a lot of the luster of him being a monster is now completely lost. He's gone. It's gone
Yeah.
completely. He's lost his shine, which is that he can't be beaten. Because I think Braun Strowman beat him, didn't he? In Saudi Arabia as well.
I think so. Yeah.
So there's arguably your three most preeminent heavyweights in this company: Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman, all beat him. So now it's like, okay, now you're a big guy, admittedly, but you're a big guy who loses to anyone with any credibility now, and you just beat up jobbers. Like you are Giant Gonzalez, as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned. You
Well, I
suck.
mean, I think Seth Rollins would be a great inaugural World Heavyweight Champion.
He's that the
I
guy
mean,
that you fancy to? Because you said
yeah,
that you said that an
yeah,
individual who got drafted to Raw would
yeah.
be.
I couldn't remember if he got drafted to Raw. I
No, he
don't
didn't
think
get
he did.
drafted.
I think he will.
Let's hope he don't go to SmackDown on Raw. I
Yeah,
feel
right. This would fucking age
I
like
feel
milk.
like he's been on Raw for a long time, but I
Yeah.
feel like they look at him as the company guy, like the Miz, who can help run Raw and keep the ship afloat.
Yeah. I think he would be a great initial World Heavyweight Champion. Like he would defend the belt all the time. He had some great runs as a WWE champion. His initial one in 2015 until, his knee exploded. I think it was 2018 before for some reason we all just hated him.
Hmm.
I don't know what happened, just like the switch flipped and we're like, nah, fuck that guy. And then
Yeah.
the switch flipped back in the last 8 months and we're like, no, man, sing the song. He's the best guy.
Yeah, it's very weird. Topsy turvy. We
Yeah,
need
wrestling
to,
fans in a nutshell.
yeah, we need to, yeah, we're all fickle as fuck, even us.
Yeah.
Um, so that's everything that's done so far. The rest of it will happen on Raw this Monday night. Anyone in particular that you want to see drafted either way this Monday?
I mean, assuming, well, assuming Rhea Ripley gets drafted to Raw, imagine the Judgment Day will stay with her. I I don't
I
think
think
she
they'd be
needs them.
tempted to maybe ship Dominic over to SmackDown.
No, I don't think she needs them. I think the Judgment Day needs Rhea Ripley.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they need to stick together for the time being.
I feel like Damian Priest is getting some nice shine at the moment, and I feel like he could break out again if he's lucky. I think wrestling Bad Bunny is cool. That's a big deal. You're wrestling the big megastar from music. Like, that's going to get a lot of eyeballs on you. And I think it wouldn't have surprised me if they said to Bad Bunny, "Hey, do you want to wrestle somebody at Backlash because you're a decent enough worker?" And he said, "Fuck it, oh, Damian Priest," because Damian Priest did a lot
Yeah,
for him, didn't he, when he first came around, helped him train and stuff. Yeah, I must admit I'm looking forward to Backlash. Card looks good.
yeah. It's not too shabby. It's what, a week
Yeah.
today, I think.
Yes, yeah, a week, yeah, Saturday night, May the 7th, give or take. I think it's May the 7th, May 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically next Saturday from when this drops, the next coming Saturday. So yeah, a week from today when this drops. For me, the problem with the draft is, like, first of all, I'm very aware that they're doing it exactly the same time as the NFL draft. That is not like, that's not an accident. Like, I'm not stupid. Come on, they
Does
even
it
did it
escape
in the
your
same
keen
style.
senses?
Well, I'm surprised they didn't have the do-do-dun, like going along. Like, they had the bar, didn't they? And I'm surprised they didn't just co-op the music, just have the NFL music playing, because it's
No,
literally
but
exactly the same.
if
I'm
if
surprised they
they're
didn't
gonna
give them hats when they came out. You know?
if they're gonna draft it, do you remember when it was just like all the superstar would have their picture up on the screen and they just like pull a lever and it just like seemed random. At least that was fun.
I quite like the old, like, casino style thing where like
Yeah.
and it would just come out and you go, oh my god! Like, what did you think about just finally having like all these random like RVD returns randomly just to announce a few? So
I mean,
also the the irony of him and P.S. Michael Hayes, probably the two most prominent weed smokers in the history of wrestling, being doing the picks together, that was not lost on me.
I mean that was.
Especially when did you hear Wade Barrett when they announced Matt Riddle to Raw, and he went, "Fans are gonna be high as a kite over this one." I was like, "You fucking twat, fuck off!" Like, the weed jokes now. Like,
Yeah,
he's got a T-shirt that says 420, so we
yeah.
know. Like, there's no hiding it now.
I was just insulted when it was JBL and Teddy Long, and I just don't like JBL. I think he's a shit person.
Yeah,
But why did Teddy Long present the draft picks for Raw?
weird, isn't it? Like, his
Yeah,
whole
Teddy
career has
Long
been
was
associated with
SmackDown,
SmackDown.
bro.
Yeah, like, it just very, very strange. Also, I love the fact that it was like, Shawn Michaels and a road dog. Like, eh. Megastar's bitch. That's kind of how it felt to me. Although I get it, Road Dog part of creative, so
The fifth most important person in DX.
pretty much. It says
And
a
and
lot when
and
X Park is more over than you are.
yeah. And one of the other top four doesn't even work in this company.
Yeah, still wrestling on AEW, which is quite amusing.
Oh, unreal.
Yeah, very strange, but you get it, Overall, do you care that much? Do you think it's been a success, or you just not that bothered?
I mean, I'm excited for the new perspective matchups, especially on SmackDown. Like, I'm fucking wearing my AJ Styles shirt. So give me AJ Roman. You can make that last 2 months, 3 months. Make it like the summer program.
Yeah, just have a pitch war. Maybe have the OC versus the Bloodline as well. Like, just fucking drag it out. Have fun with it.
Fuck, give me that in War Games. I would take an OC Bloodline War Games. I know the Bloodline were in it a lot this year, or I guess
It
last
was
year.
War Games was almost 6 months ago. That's mad to think, isn't it? Where the fuck did all that time go?
Fuck me.
Just shot right past. It's going to be War
Mm-hmm.
Games in 6 months' time. It's fucking WWE are going to be over here in 2 months. Money in the Bank.
Jesus Christ.
Madness. And then fucking about 4 months' time, we're going to have AEW over here in Wembley.
What is time?
I know, right? We're all getting old real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, it is what it is, mate. It is what it is. All right. We'll leave it there. Hopefully, let us know what you think about the draft, ladies and gentlemen. All kinds of opinions welcome, as always. Try and keep it respectful in the comments. I know that some of you want to try and be clever and send hateful messages. We're just not going to respond to that at this point. We're bored of it.
Don't be a dick.
Some people, you know how it is. you know how it is ultimately. Rent free, mate. Get on with your lives. That's what we're doing. Not much else I can say to that. But yeah, thank you very much, Carl Wilkinson. Really, hopefully, we're going to get a shit ton of work out of you over the next few weeks.
Yeah,
I say work, it's fun, isn't it? It's not really work.
oh,
Hey,
it's very
Carl, want
fun.
to sit down and talk wrestling with me for half an hour? Oh, work. I have to clock
Oh,
in wrestle plug.
oh no, my fingerprint didn't work on the biometric scanner. I can't come in today.
Oh, that's the future, isn't it? In a nutshell.
I use we have those at my work. Like there's a
Really, a
fucking finger.
biometric scans.
Yeah, I'm just fucking waiting for the eye print and the urine test. Like,
I'm told that like Canada is like becoming a bit of a Nazi state for like rules and things like that. Is there any truth to that?
I mean, I wouldn't say that.
I think the people that have been telling me that are extremely anti-vaxxer. So
Yeah, well, if those people get sick, I hope they die.
okay.
Well, so no, that's not
What
true.
the views and
Yeah,
opinions of Carl Wilkinson are not shared by the rest of the block.
they're not even shared by me. I just those people are
We're just
dumb.
yeah. It's to be fair, it's 4 in the fucking morning. We're
Yeah.
bombastic and tired, and I've got a fucking big show. So for anyone who may, because I'll probably try and drop this for the morning. So if anyone fancies a very last minute jaunt to London, I will be at Coliseum Wrestling at 4 p.m. this afternoon. It's at the Stanley Arts Centre in Norwood Junction, South London. So if you are London region and can get you can get the tube there. By the way, it's right round the corner from Norwood Junction Station. So literally crack on. Like I think like a 3-4 minute walk. Perfect place to go. Great hook, huge card, massive card. Some of the biggest names in British wrestling, and I will be the head commentator, which is pretty mad for that. And if you're very lucky, you might see me wearing a suit. You lucky bastards. But
If I
yeah,
was there, I'd be great color. I
it's
tell
pretty
you,
close.
I'd be a great color commentator. I
I
tell you.
was, color comments. Yeah, I was going to say, don't say that to Tanvir. But he'll be there. He'll be there. Tanvir's going, so you ain't got no excuse. But it is very last minute. But if anyone does fancy going, use the code Aeron15, all capital letters, and you get 15% off your ticket price. So that might help.
Ooh.
But ladies and gentlemen, from myself, Aaron X, and from Carl Wilson, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you Monday night, maybe Tuesday, for the second half of our review of the WWE Draft 2023. Until then. Oh, yeah.
So tired of it. Oh.
Get me out of this world.